But guys, let's go ahead and roll over to the offensive side. We've talked defensive line and the linebackers, the inside linebacker, kind of focusing on the trenches and kind of like the interior of the defense. Let's do the same for the offense. I want to talk offensive line. They don't get enough love. I see a lot of people. They get a lot of hate during the season, missed assignments, false starts, and all of this. When the offense is struggling, now the offensive line has attention. Let's talk about some of the skill sets that we bring back, being that this is an offensive line that's by a lot of analysts and different ranking systems and PFF scores. They're ranking this interior Alabama interior offensive line is the most talented and the best in the country, given this whole group the number one ranking in a lot of preseason polls. Jeff, we're going to start with you, man. Kind of talk about the rotation, the first group that you see being the most fit group to really lead this style of offense, being that Ryan Grubb is now taking the helm as the offensive play caller this season.
Definitely, our offensive line has been a weakness the past few years. Since the 2020 season where we won the national championship with Matt Jones, Devontae Smith, our offensive line that year was probably the best in college football. And since that season, it has taken a step back. We have not had as good of offensive line play the last 4 seasons. So this year, I'm seeing a lot of people be more high on our offensive line. So part of it starts with a lot of guys returning. Caden Proctor is back after the whole Iowa fiasco in the past. That's behind him. He's a guy that has so much talent, but he's a little bit inconsistent. That is a big issue, but I do believe that he's a guy that will, as he continues to play college football, I think he's a junior this year. It's his 3rd season in college football. He's going to get better. He's too talented to not continue to improve, especially with this coaching staff. A transfer that a lot of people are high on is Cam Dewberry. A lot of people believe he's going to start the left guard spot. I think he's a really solid player, has a lot of experience. And then Parker Brailsford at center, Jaden Roberts at right guard, Wilkin Formby at right tackle is kind of what a lot of people are thinking is going to be the first 5. They're some of the most experienced players. Most of those guys returning except the one transferring, Cam Dewberry. So you have a solid core of really, really good offensive linemen that are actually being ranked pretty highly according to a lot of major services and outlets. And even around here, I'm definitely high on a lot of those guys. I think our offensive line is going to be a lot better. Lloyd Jackson, he's only a true freshman, but he's already pushing hard. He's pushing hard behind Caden Proctor, left tackle. If Proctor does move on to the NFL after this season, not sure if he will or not, but if he does, then Jackson Lloyd is definitely a guy that I believe could actually be a starter next year as a sophomore. I mean, he's that good. I believe highly in him. And then after that, we have so many young redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores. I mean, you go all the way down the list. Casey Poe, William Sanders. It goes on and on. We have so much depth at offensive line. These guys are going to get their time in the future. But that first 5, I believe, is going to be our starting offensive lineman in week 1.
100%, 100%. And I had somebody a report come in the other day. One of the guys that's watching practice that got to see the viewing period, and they were talking about how Geno Vandermark was with that first group in the first stances, and I like that because I think he brings a lot of that experience factor, that know-how of the way that Coach Cap wants it. But when you have a talent like Cam Dewberry right there at the left guard position, those guys having that type of quality of offensive lineman, especially interior, being able to have that type of rotation there, I think is huge. Coach, schematically, some things we talked about earlier, getting the run game established. The personnel grouping that Jackson named and listed, I do believe that's probably your best group of 5 to throw out there and give us the best opportunity to really implement the running game. What do you see being the most effective part of this run game, whether it's the outside zone, the continue to rely on the RPO? What style of run game do you think Brian Grubb gets back to going into this season?
I mean, I hope it's a lot of the off tackle stuff and just lining up and just smash mouth, running straight at somebody 3 yards in a cloud of dust back in the old days, which is something we couldn't do. But let me, what was the weakest link last year for you 3? What do you think was the weakest link last year with Alabama's offensive line?
I would say the left tackle position. As much as we like to give Caden Proctor his love, he only showed up against the better teams, which was weird to me. But a lot of mishaps and misreads from that left side of the offensive line, and I you just go back and look at the film. A lot of overreaching, a lot of overextending, and I think that's something that personally he can work on. But the right tackle struggle. But I think once we found that balance in that rotation, we saw Formby and Pritchett get thrown into positions where they played their strongest and their best after week 5. So I think the tackle position overall needs to see the most improvement, on my personal opinion.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. And that, well, last year play calling, it comes down to play calling and all that kind of stuff. But we were pretty weak over there on the left side, and I mean, everybody's giving Jalen Milroe down the road, but I mean, he was not helped with that offensive line whatsoever, especially throwing the ball. But for me, I mean, I like to see a lot of inside traps. I like to see, the counter tray, pull the tackle, kick out, that kind of stuff. You look at you go back, guys, you go back and look at that Oklahoma film and how they blocked Alabama's defense. You're looking at a lot of counter trade, a lot of trap pulling and stuff like that. I wish, a lot of times you get into the, just straight ahead, that kind of stuff, which is good. I want to be able, you've got to be able to do that. That's first. But then I like to see a lot of trapping and pulling and that kind of stuff, block down, pull back, and those type of scenarios. And if Alabama can do that with the offensive line, that's going to be great for Miller and setting up the passing game. But last year, you look Alabama first down, they're going to throw the football. Throw the football. Me, I want to see Alabama get back to first down. Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, run the football. And Jam Miller is a perfect guy to give him that opportunity. Let that guy run.
Big reason we lost Justice Haynes, I think, to the transfer portal.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like to, just get up and, set the game at the front with the offensive line, blocking, running the ball, and then go from there. If you can run the ball, you're going to win. Bottom line. If you're 100%. Just depending on throwing it 50 times a game, back in the old days or back, 2 or 3, 4 years ago when we were, everybody's hurry up, throwing it 50 times a game. Yeah. That worked. Got everybody tired, but defense has caught up. And so right now we're back to offenses have got to get back to running the ball.
I think what people fail to realize is that at Washington, Washington under Ryan Grubb and Kalen DeBoer that national championship run year, they were able to run the ball. They ran the ball 30 plus times a game. They threw the ball averaged 37 times a game, and they ran the ball 31 times a game. But what they did not see was a lot of quarterback run action, and a lot of that last year, a lot of our run game suffered because of Jalen Milroe having to learn his third offensive system in 4 years of being a college football player. Just misreads early. Early in the season, everything's there. You don't know what to expect from Alabama. But now, week 5, week 6, you see defensive coordinators being able to make adjustments and forcing those reads to exactly what they. It wasn't that he was making the wrong reads; he was making the read that he was getting thrown. And if it's showing keep and he keeps, and they're sending the extra help defender to reinforce it, that's great on the defensive play call. That's nothing on Jalen Milroe or the offense. But to the Justin Haynes comment, there was games early on in the season where he just would not take the hole. It's like he was waiting for something to develop and being too patient, not pressing the pocket, not pressing the gaps, and not forcing things to develop. So it's kind of like I get real touchy about the play calling thing. I think Nick Sheridan, for what we had last year, did a great job. You couldn't get that. You wasn't going to get that from Tommy Reese. You wasn't going to get that from Bill O'Brien with Jalen Milroe and this type of offense that Kalen DeBoer wanted to run, which was the vertical pass scheme. That's what this offense is centered around. And layering the vertical pass concepts off of the run game. Dylan Johnson in 2023 ran this offense as far as a running back. Inside zone run game, the outside zone run game, the toss sweeps, everything that you said, coming off the misdirection, he benefited from it. And like you said, we have the skill sets available. I think with quarterbacks that aren't going to focus on utilizing their legs as much, we'll get to see this run game develop a lot better this year. I really do.
And here's another little thing. How many, guys, how many games do you think, teams playing against Alabama, how many games do you think the defense started out in a 3-3-5? Not very many. With Jalen Milroe back there at 3-3-5, they didn't line up in a 3-3-5. No, they were up in a a 4-man or 5-man front. They were running.
You might want to go watch. You might want to go watch that. What game that was? You seen Georgia come out in the second half. They came out of a true 4 front. That's what made their defense start to capitalize in that last game. They literally walked the overhang and they started playing basically a base 3-3-5. They were running 6 DBs out on the field to make up and compensate for the speed that we were being able to outflank them. So I don't know, Coach. Maybe we're gonna have to watch some film together because you keep talking about this 3-3-5 and I don't see it. Look, my boy, big homie, he do the same thing. I don't know, Coach. I'm even personnel wise. We ran a lot of true defensive linemen last year. Kane Womack ended up putting a lot of in coming over to the Wolf side, and you seeing their athleticism being displayed off the edge.
What I'm asking you, Coach, against Jalen Milroe, would you line up in a 3-3-5?
Depends on what my personnel is. You got a lot of speed, at the linebacker position. Yeah, I'm putting 3 linebackers out there and giving myself the opportunity to play in space more so than trying to stop the interior run game. When you got run fitters coming from the secondary with the likes of Malachi Moore, Devontae Smith, Justin Jefferson, guys that can cover in space and tackle well. I'm cool with having the personnel grouping of 3 true defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs out there on the field. As far as alignment, though, I think coming down and making that outside linebacker like Alabama does, making that outside linebacker a true defensive end, forcing him to be that in itself, a defensive end / outside linebacker. That's why you go and recruit the 5 stars and the 4 stars like Quay Rusar, Yanzi Pierre, Noah Carter. You go and get guys like Justin Hill so that, hey, they can drop in coverage. They can basically play wide receiver at the defensive end position, but when it's time to get to the run and get in the run blocking and stopping the run game, they're just as much of a physical opposition for the offensive line than, rather than keeping a big, slow defensive end out there. So I get it. I get it.
Don't you worry, Cade. We will definitely.
We got you, Cade.
Don't you worry, good buddy.
But Jackson, you got to give us a dark horse for this offensive line. Who really steps up this year on this offensive line for you? And then we're going to go to one last topic, and that's what Coach was kind of
Cam Dewberry,
the running backs. You got Cam Dewberry?
Yeah, I mean, I think people should definitely look out for Cam Dewberry because he's going to be playing for a winner now. He's not going to be playing for a what would have been team.
Okay, I can get it. I get it. New face on the scene, coming around with a group that was pretty solid ending last season. I could see him getting the dark horse label. I can see that.
He doesn't have to be at a team that's national title drought is a year older than Bugs Bunny. So
chill out, man. You gonna get these A&M fans mad, man. Don't get them buzzing over there, man. Now listen,
they don't like it. They don't like it. They have to start winning, I guess.
Gig 'em.
Truth kind of hurts,
Gotta gig them, baby.